All right, good morning, everybody. We'll let this continue back behind us. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here today on a nice Sunday morning. For those of us who live around this area, we're very well aware today is day 2 of the 2019 hurricane season. Perhaps more importantly, we only have 178 days to go to get through it. Okay, so we have 3 very important groups of people who have converged on Tyndall Air Force Base on this Sunday. First off, we have some of the very highest ranking officials, our airmen in the Air Force, who just flew in from DC. Second, we've got representatives from Senator Rubio, Senator Scott, and Congressman Dunn's office all here today. And we also have our senior leaders from here right in Bay County. These are all the people that you see assembled back behind you. We're all here today to talk a little bit about where we've been at Tyndall, but to talk a whole lot more about where we're getting ready to go. It's our privilege to be the first base visit for our new Secretary of the Air Force, the Honorable Matthew Donovan. Secretary Donovan knows this base well, knows this community well. In fact, he's called this place home twice throughout his Air Force career. First, he flew F-15s here for about 4 years in the early 90s. He flew as an F-15 instructor pilot, and then he later flew as an F-15 demonstration pilot. Then he came back 2001 to 2003 for 2 years, again to fly F-15s to command the 95th Fighter Squadron. Those of us know the F-15, or the 95th Fighter Squadron was once an F-15 training squadron, later became our combat-coded F-22 Squadron until late last year. So it's our privilege to host all of these special guests to Tyndall Air Force Base today as we pay a very special welcome to our new Secretary, Secretary Donovan. Mr. Secretary, sir, thanks for coming to check on us today. The floor is yours. Yes, sir.
Well, good morning, folks, and thanks so much for hosting us down here today. I have to tell you, it's really great to be back in Bay County and Panama City and Tyndall Air Force Base. As Colonel Laidlaw said, I've spent a total of 6 years here over 2 tours, and it was the best time of my life here, flying eagles on the beach. Now, I know the eagles aren't here anymore, but I think I've heard they occasionally come back in. It was a great community. In fact, it's great to see Tom Neubauer again. I think I first met him in 1990. He might not remember this, but I believe he was my first landlord. So it was a great house. It was good. But it's really important that we continue to advocate for Tyndall Air Force Base and getting it rebuilt. We're cautiously optimistic that we're pretty close on a supplemental now. We appreciate Congress working so hard to get together to get us a supplemental. The language for the rebuilding of Tyndall Air Force Base, as well as the flooding at Offutt Air Force Base, is quite satisfactory to us. So we hope that it'll pass soon through the Congress and get over the White House for the President to support it. And then finally, I just want to put a shout out to all the airmen, especially the airmen that have to come out on a Sunday to greet the new acting secretary. But that was always the best part of any tour that I had in the Air Force, was interacting with the airmen, because they're what makes it so special. So with that, I'd be glad to take any questions that you might have.
Having started your career here and seeing the state of the base now, what is it personally to get this base back on track?
Well, I'll tell you, I was the 95th Fighter Squadron commander back in 2001 and 2003, and Hangar 5 was our hangar. And I was just looking at an old photo of me taken with all my folks, about 300 folks in front of that hangar, and I can tell you it didn't look anything like it does today. So it is, it's so devastating. As Colonel Laidlaw said, here we are once again into another hurricane season, and there's a disturbance in the southern part of the Gulf of Mexico. So we always have to be vigilant. And, but there's a lot of good memories here, and we'll make sure that the good memories continue for airmen to follow.
And as you mentioned, hurricane season just started, but we're also 250 days into Hurricane Michael, and we're still waiting on that supplemental. What's your push?
Well, we have certainly been working closely with Congress. The Florida CODELs, as well, the congressional delegations from Florida, have been very, very helpful with us and carrying the message up to the Hill. So as I said, we're cautiously optimistic that we're pretty close, and we'll hopefully get that passed here in the next few days.
Yeah, we've been saying close for a few weeks now, so you're thinking, sometime in the next few days, if
Well, the Senate has passed it. You know, it originated in the House. The Senate passed this back over with the House. Of course, they were on recess last week, so they'll all be back in full force this week. So.
Just talk about the importance of getting Tyndall Air Force Base back. It's a real huge economic driver in Baytown. Why is it so important to get it back?
Well, it's so important because, number one, because of the location and the, being adjacent to one of the best overwater supersonic ranges that we have in the United States, and that's the Gulf Training Range, just south of us here out over the water, which was, through a lot of hard work of airmen, was expanded to accommodate the F-22 training when it came on, as well as all our weapons testing that we do here through the Weapons Evaluation Group to give us that overwater testing capability. And as we align to the National Defense Strategy, it'll be used to test even more advanced weapons such as hypersonics. So it's extremely critical that we get Tyndall rebuilt. It is. I've tried to. I know you get a lot of distinguished visitors that come in, and I try not to pile onto that because the wing commander needs time to actually do his work. But I figured that this was a good opportunity as I assumed the role of acting secretary to show how important it is to us that this be my first base visit. Well, I certainly hope so. I know that there's been a lot of members of Congress that have come down and visited. The president, of course, came down. The vice president came down, and the vice president committed to rebuilding Tyndall. So, when you see the damage, and as we were flying in, we flew in over Mexico Beach as well. It's just incredible the amount of damage. So, I sure hope people notice and help us. Get this supplemental pass so we can move out.
Kind of different from that. For 6 years, so what's your initial reaction to seeing the hangar by?
I've seen the photos, but to see it in person is just incredible. And to think about the billions of dollars of assets that we protect with those hangars, as well as we did today, with the F-22s that were here as well. So it's pretty shocking. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.